Lads, okay, open the episode. Alex has a surprise question. It has nothing to do with hockey, but it's a debate that we need to have, even though the three of us are maybe not too qualified to talk about it.
Oh, I'm extremely not qualified to talk about it, but I'm going to throw this question Daniel's way. And Adam, if you want to give an answer too, you're more than welcome.
Is it about tax season?
It's not. Well, it is tax. It is tax season is among us. I've seen the commercials, but it's a basketball question. I've been asking people this question during my interviews for the Guelph Nighthawks.
Oh, okay.
Just to open them up a little bit. Who is the GOAT of basketball?
Oh my gosh. I've heard this a lot on a lot of podcasts, and not just basketball podcasts. Before I get to the question, it's a big thing is like a generational divide that a lot of people say about who is the GOAT.
And your answer is?
Oh yeah. It's funny. I saw those videos and those people stumbled too. They stumbled too.
I know. You're deflecting the question.
I'm deflecting the question.
Answer the question, Max Kellerman.
Honestly, I'm gonna have to say like Michael Jordan.
Okay.
For a lot of reasons.
There we go.
Let's hear a few of them.
Okay, I think the first reason is, guess number one, he never lost in the finals.
Good.
Fair.
Like the only time another team won a championship in the 90s was when he was retired. So the Rockets twice and then the Spurs. Actually, no, I was wrong. I think they won the 1990. Was it the Pistons?
It was probably
the Pistons. Yeah. Okay, so that's one exception, but that was small Jordan. That was before he was.
That was like the Jordan rules Pistons wouldn't have been.
Yeah.
And like Dennis Rodman would have been on the team, maybe Isaiah, right?
Yeah, when Dennis Rodman was bullying Michael Jordan, not helping him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, also I think it's just the way I kind of see it too. It's just the growth of the game where you look at where contracts are at now. A lot of other countries becoming competitive, and a lot of those players attributing the popularity of the sport because of the 90s and the expansion of the television rights, both nationally and internationally. So I think that no other player has done that before except for Michael Jordan. And I know that there's a lot of other arguments there too, because the game was also getting popular in the 80s with the Showtime Lakers. But I'm just going to put it like the most simplest terms. When you're a little kid, you're not thinking, and maybe, I'm just speaking for myself because, again, another generational thing. I grew up in the late 90s and the 2000s, but, I never thought, when I'm taking like a shot or something or thinking like, I really want to be Magic Johnson. I really want to be Magic Johnson. And I think like in terms of like, I guess a skill perspective, like if you go even further, it's like it was dominated by big men where like you never really related to that. So I think it is Michael Jordan, both on the court and how he was able to kind of grow the game, because he literally is still a franchise guy. Like he hasn't played in close to 20 years and still people are buying Air Jordans.
Right. Just to confirm, 1990, the Detroit Pistons beat the Trailblazers in 5 games.
Okay.
Yeah, makes sense. They probably beat the Bulls on the way there. Probably, I'm gonna guess.
Yeah, I think so.
I think wasn't that last year, and they always talk about like that was. I think it was before that. It was at the result of that series thing when Michael said, "Okay, I gotta bulk up. I gotta get muscle on me." I think that was the most recent episode of the last days I've actually watched.
Must I say I really love that in this conversation, by the way, that Adam watched The Last Dance.
I've watched it through twice now. It's really, really good. There are some points where I'm like the food poisoning episode. I'm like, okay, all right, okay then.
The pizza conspiracy.
I look at the 6-0 in the finals is a big thing for me. Like always getting to the highest point of the league, and you never lost there. And I want to say there's a consecutive record the Bulls had of always having like higher seeding in that, which is a very underrated part of his legacy. And again, every time going to the finals, who was the MVP? It was Michael Jordan, 6-time finals MVP. I think there was always this thing of, if I know my basketball timeline properly, is if you look at what Jordan did in the international stage, that maybe Magic Johnson started it, and then Michael picked it up and ran with it in a way. Yeah, and there's that thing of there ain't no Air LeBrons, it's Air Jordans. Like the man is. How many hockey players are truly bigger than the sport?
One.
The way that Michael Jordan is bigger than the game of basketball somehow.
One. To me, at least.
What, probably Wayne?
Yeah. I don't think anyone else. Like, no offense to Crosby, Ovechkin, McDavid, Lemieux, Yager. It's Wayne.
I think you can maybe make the argument for Sid in this day and age, but here's the comparison I love thinking about. I think I'll talk to you guys about this. In the Last Dance, Wayne Gretzky's in it, right? But it's not like he's courtside or in the locker room like Leonardo DiCaprio was for that one scene, or Jerry Springer. They're just passing like talk to Wayne Gretzky in the crowd. Like he's not brought back or anything. That may be me thinking way too much into one scene, but there's a tier there. And even if Wayne is at a certain point, like we get Wayne Gretzky out on TV and it's the biggest thing ever, even though he never really ever speaks anything of substance. But Michael Jordan is, I think it was this year was like the 75th anniversary of the NBA or something.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like at the All-Star game and he's, clapping hands with Luka and all that. And the man still has his presence about him. The Last Dance, even to someone like me, who is a very, very, very casual basketball fan, a part of me getting into the sport, it wasn't even the Raptors winning. It was watching The Last Dance. You know what? If I had told me last year, Adam, you know what you're going to do? You're going to be watching like James Harden and all these guys. Like, I think I watched his return. No, it was his first game in Philly when Brooklyn came to town a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. And that's because of Michael Jordan. It's the on and off course stuff. He's just insane. Scotty's insane to think he's better than him. That book destroyed a lot of bridges.
I still want to read that book.
I think the thing for me, the reason I don't put Sid in that category yet is because I think maybe I'm being a little unfair, but I look at how other sports have, I guess, developed and look at, they're literally the culture. LeBron James is the culture. And I mean, that's the fault of the NHL. It's not the fault of Crosby at the end of the day. I think a lot of it is very much the fault of the NHL. And I think I'm being extremely unfair, but I think Wayne Gretzky, like maybe he wasn't the culture, but I don't know. It's not the same to me. It's not the same.
Let me ask you this. What did David Stern do with Michael Jordan? And then tail end of that, Kobe Bryant, compared to what Wayne Gretzky did with 6 years of Gretzky and then a bit of a lull, but he still would have had Yager in that. And then he's had Sidney Crosby for his entire career in the American market, which he would have loved to see. And we kind of question the game still right here, right now. And I think that's a way of kind of comparing the sports. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I also think I'm probably the biggest Sidney Crosby homer on the show. So
probably
we heard it on the TikTok comments, or we read it on the TikTok.
Yeah,
really?
I think so.
Yeah, there were a few who are like, this guy's talking about Sid again. Because I think when you talked about your Mount Rushmore of the NHL.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't have TikTok, so I can't read the comments. I did the TikTok. Oh, okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. I do mention Sid a lot. I do mention it. I think deservedly so. But that's good. It's good to know that the TikTok, you love the interaction. Need that going on YouTube nowadays. It is a bit of a weird sort of transition to go from here. Because one of the biggest stories in the NHL this week was the passing of Eugene Melnyk, owner of the Ottawa Senators. First off, we of course pass our condolences off to the family. He has 2 young daughters. I think one of them is like a year older than me. And the other one I think is a little younger. So incredibly young. I think he was 63 when it happened. It's very strange to talk about Eugene Melnyk, and there is a tremendous article in The Athletic by Ian Mendes right now talking about the complicated sort of legacy of Eugene Melnyk, about how he came in the early 2000s, he saved the team, but from like 2017 onwards in that outdoor game to his passing, Melnyk out is almost sort of how I remember Eugene Melnyk. I don't know if that's fair, but that's kind of how you look at his legacy almost.
Yeah. And I think, a lot of that has to do with what have you done for me now? or what have you, a lot of recency bias? Obviously, like, I mean, I'm probably not the only one, but I think we very much have been heavily critical of Eugene Melnyk on the show. And I mean, in my, I think rightly so. I don't think we've attacked him as a person. I don't think we've ever really gone that far. But like, yeah, everything I probably would have said on today's episode, Ian Mendes said 100,000 times better than me. What I will say, just to before Daniel, I send it to you. I'm not a fan of what's been going on with this Quebec City stuff. Like I'm listen, we've talked about Quebec City. Do they deserve a team? 1,000%. Not the time. Not like, I get it. Not the time to bring it up.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. I think when we use the term polarizing, I think of Eugene Melnick, where a lot what Alex said about the recency bias of what was going on with the team, what the approach of the rebuild was looking like, what they were going to do in terms of taking the next step, or how are they keeping talent on the team. But again, like what Ian Mendes mentioned at articles, just we have to remember that he was the guy that kept the Senators in Ottawa, that he was willing to kind of stabilize everything that was going on with this team and try to build something there. And, you know, we look back on, I guess, a big highlight of it is that, you know, 2016, they almost beat the Penguins. 17, my apologies. They almost beat the Penguins. That team looked like there was a lot of promise there. And I think from just that point onwards, that's when things did get messy. The whole Erik Karlsson situation. We had the Daniel Alfredsson situation, and
both of the Alfredsson situations. And it's just kind of like an interesting thing to look at, like what the culture of the team was. But again, like the team is there. Like, I guess what he leaves behind with his legacy here is that, you know, they did stockpile talent as of right now. And I don't know how to say it, because like I admit, like we didn't criticize the man, we criticized the decisions. Yeah. First off, one thing I really want to make clear here is, like a lot has been talked about right now about the situation with his daughters and how ownership may shape out. And the pressure that may be on them, are they going to sell or that? One thing that we have to remember here in talking about Eugene as a person is like, you know, I mentioned when the Evander Kane thing happened that like, I didn't like the dirty laundry in public, because one day your kid's going to grow up and see that. I think people need to be sensitive that 2 daughters have just lost their father. One thing I want to shout out there. And, you know, with Eugene, it was always that you can respect how he was never afraid to say what was on his mind. And that sort of incident in 2017 at the outdoor game where he said, maybe we're going to move the team if people don't start showing up. That's him speaking out loud. We know that he was looking for the Sens to play in this, I don't think it was in the States, but outside of Ottawa. I think it was.
No, it was in the States. It was in the States.
And all that. The Breton Flat situation wasn't great. But the man was a character in a sense. And in a way, I felt like it's good for the sport to have those characters. Is there going to be was there criticism of the financial things of, you know, oh, we're going to spend this amount of money, and that weird video of Mark Borowiecki? Yes. There's just so many chapters in the story of Eugene Melnyk. It's going to be a complicated sort of way to always look at his life in this time as Sens GM, but man, it's so complicated to look at. He wasn't like all a bad guy. Like Ian Mendes talks about, you know, when Melnyk talked to him about what was happening with Ian's daughter. And Erik Karlsson said the other day when his kids were born that the organization sent flowers. And like, we all know it didn't end well with Erik Karlsson in that. But it's so difficult to sort of really talk about this. We can look at the ownership situation. I do believe that right now Gary Bettman has stated that things are going to stay as they are right now in Ottawa. There might be some sort of governing body coming in because you can't expect two young women to, not saying because they're women, they're our age.
They're young. Yeah.
Now, I think Bruce Garriock has said one of his daughters has interned in every area of the organization. That's all well and good, but running a multi-million-dollar organization is more than just interning at different spots, right? But it seems to be, at least what the NHL are saying, is that the Sens are staying in Ottawa, which I'm not surprised by. It feels like they fought for Ottawa in the past. I know we've given them grief about fighting for Arizona, but I think they've always sort of been supportive of the Sens staying there. I don't think they've loved Eugene being as vocal as he has been, but...
And I mean, would you guys not agree it's the right move? Like, it's the right move to keep them in Ottawa. There's clearly something there. It's just, it's not the whole thing. And my thing a lot of the times is, and similar with Arizona, the arena is not in the right place.
Indeed. Yeah, exactly.
Like, if the arena was closer to the city of Ottawa and not in Canada, like, we're having a different conversation about this team. Like, I genuinely believe if that arena wasn't in kind of in the middle of nowhere, that 2017 Eastern Conference Finals, it's packed.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
You look at what's Gary Bettman saying? The only way we ever move a team is if no one's willing to buy them. Someone would buy the Sens if Eugene's estate sort of decides to sell the team. We know there's been offers made to them before. Apparently, they've just been sort of lowball offers. And I mean, you got to look at some of the expansion prices the past couple of years. That price isn't. I don't think the Sens are going to be sold for $1 billion or anything, but it's going to be higher past 500 million probably at least. So I'm no sort of businessman, but I don't think Gary Bettman's going to allow for anything like that to sort of happen. It's weird to say that, but like, if you give credit to Gary Bettman for one thing, is that the man is stubborn to move franchises, and that may work for the Sens here. Like, the nation's capital should have a team. Like, the moment I saw this it's almost a testament to Eugene Melnyk. Is when you first see the news, I think we were all very shocked, and then the questions started hitting you, and right away I thought, now Alex, you sort of touched on it. It's going to be disgusting, but that there are people who have been pitching for the Nordiques to come back are going to be circling here. And like, listen, if you want to have interest in buying the team, there's nothing wrong with that, but just have some emotional intelligence. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, pitch it.
Integrity, basically, yeah.
Pitch it, go ahead. But I'm not I know it's been 2 days. You're telling me a pitch has been made in 2 days? Like, I think the media's suggestion of Quebec City is my issue. I mean, like, yeah, I guess do whatever the hell you want, pitch it to the NHL. I just think it's been 2 days, and now you're going to go public with, hey, Quebec City is not a good look in my eyes. It's not what I would do.
That because I didn't see any of that yet. So what? So they've again. What's like that ownership?
Well,
there was a consortium or something.
I saw today or yesterday was that the NHL was talking to Quebec about playing 5 regular season games in Quebec City, or 5 games. I don't remember if it was preseason. It was playing 5 games as the Senators in Quebec City. Okay, cool. But did you really have to report it 2 days after? Like, to me, I get it. It's news. It just seems a little insensitive.
Well, what's the sorry to be morbid here, but let the body get cold. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's see if I can find the article, but you guys keep going.
Yeah. We all want the Nordiques to come back, Daniel, but just a bit of respect to the family.
Yeah, I think so. I think for the most part, like, a lot of the more trusted sports media have been really good with this. I think it's just sometimes when it looks like you're just looking for another story to look at, looking another opportunity to kind of really look at what's another thing that's going to destabilize the Sens and kind of pile on things and say, it's time to move. It's time to realize that the situation is not ideal here anymore. And the guy that was adamant on kind of keeping it there is not here anymore. But again, they're just choosing the wrong story at this point. This is something that they should not be talking about. And for me, frankly, like it's a very low level of integrity.
Mm-hmm. Have you found it, Alex? Or
so this is from a Sportsnet article from today. So who is this man? Who is Gerard? Where did he go? Quebec's finance minister, Eric Girard, had said that the possibility of Quebec City hosting some Senators games was brought up during a January meeting he had with NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman. He said both sides had expressed an interest in the idea, but at this stage is preliminary. The comments came on the heels of a more expansive report by Dennis Lessard of La Presse that said preliminary talks took place involving Quebec's provincial government, the National Hockey League, and the Senators about the possibility of the team playing 5 NHL games at the where is this?
Center?
Yeah. But the report came out today.
It's interesting because we've heard there's been a few whispers of meetings between the league and Quebec, and then Bettman's been like, there's nothing to it. We're not interested right now. But I think we all kind of knew if there was ever a chance of Quebec coming back, it had to be the Sens moving. That's interesting. That's interesting. We'll see. That's not great timing for anyone sort of that getting out. Story to keep an eye on. Again, condolences to the family because this is just it's got to be really rough. I hope they're not paying too much attention to social media because it's like Eugene's dead, but the Sens, what's happening with them? That's what
right.
It's like. So it's crap.
It'd be the worst right now. Just don't go on it.
Man, I don't know about you guys, but March has not been a good month. I just want it to be over.
This is true. It's insane that it's almost April to begin with, by the way.
It's a long month.
By the way, the 2nd, my brother's birthday. He's turning
Happy
30.
birthday.
Happy early birthday.
What's the plans?
That old bastard. We're going to Makimono's.
Oh, awesome. Yes, I know that location in Pickering.
It's so good, isn't it?
It's the main birthday hub when I go there for my uncle's family.
Very good. The calamari is to die for, is it not? Mm-hmm. A rough transition, a sharp left turn, but the Makimono sure that helped it there. Congratulations to the Boston Pride. You're back-to-back Isabel Cup champions. I think they're up to like 4 titles, and they've been dominating the past couple of years.
The only Boston team we like on this show.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to talk about the Leafs and Boston game a little later, but we just kind of wanted to mention that. We can sort of get into, I say we start with all the things to do with the GM meetings because they are sort of the big story of the week. First off, Gary Bettman had a horrible sort of purple sweater and he didn't shave. He just clearly didn't care to speak to the media. First off,
I like the sweater though. Nice. Like I was actually surprised he wore color.
He can't pull it off.
That's a good point.
He can't pull it off like how he can't pull off running a league. Anyway, I have a little summary here from a Sportsnet article. First topic, LTIR, everyone's favorite. First off, Elliot Friedman apparently said that the GM who first brought this up at the meetings was Ken Holland.
The irony.
The GM of the Edmonton Oilers.
Isn't he the one who signed Henrik Zetterberg and Pavel Datsyuk to those contracts that ended up being traded to?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. ran a team that was a dynasty before the salary cap came in.
Just wanted to double check.
Yes. Yeah, that is the same Ken Holland. Yes. And who can't work the cap right now to save his life and has to make the playoffs or may lose 2 MVP caliber players, including the best player in the world. But, let's ignore that. And the other guy is right now second in goal scoring, fighting for his second goal scoring title ever, by the way. But,
When
won
Peter
one round, by the way.
Yeah.
They sound pretty good.
Yeah. So anyway, Bettman said LTIR was discussed with the GMs, but quote, nobody thinks it's been abused. That's it. Let's just.
What?
I want to put a disclaimer out there. Because a lot of the stuff we're going to read, if it comes from Gary Bettman, I wouldn't take it too seriously. Because he says that nobody has any problems with officiating, but Kyle Dubas sort of proved that was wrong the moment he talked to the media.
No, not according to Damon Cox.
Wasn't aggressive enough.
Goodness gracious. By the way, sweet note. So you know how I want to say it's Davidson, Hughes, Alvin, and who is in Anaheim? Verbeek. It was their first GM meetings, right? But they gave Hughes, because he's like the first time executive GM, they gave him the rookie treatment of talking to the media first. And the guy to say, it's up to you, was Dubas. He was like, that's neat. And he was like, Dubas is like, God, he's so young. It's ridiculous. Like 36. Anyway.
Yeah.
Apparently, nobody thinks it's been abused. The concern stems from teams over the years appearing to have abused LTR in order to save cap space during the season and have those same players appear in the playoffs. And of course, Tampa Bay and all that. Bettman said that the system has worked for 17 years, and after discussing it with the NHLPA, it's not a front burner issue that's going to be addressed anytime soon. Some other reports have said that it's an open dialogue right now. And I think some GMs, I think Treliving has also sort of echoed this. I don't know if it's the party line. And maybe it's a recency bias because of what happened with Tampa. And maybe because people weren't complaining too much when Chicago did it with Kane. Is that 2011?
It was 2013. That was the chemo. That's when they got Chemo Timonen and Anton Vermette.
Yes. So, I don't think they're wrong that it's a recency bias thing, and let's be honest, if COVID didn't happen and the cap wasn't shredded right now, we're probably not talking about it. But I think, Alex, one of your favorite lines is, if there was a better cap system, then we wouldn't have to abuse LTIR.
Yeah. I mean,
cap.
But like, don't you find it funny that the GMs who use the LTIR system to their advantage are perfectly fine with this? Like, I don't know. It was just, I saw a little bit of outrage. I'm like, but why? Like, this should be, it's the same as like when the 32 GMs are like, well, I mean, like it's a fast game, you know, how are the refs supposed to catch everything? Like, yeah, of course that's what they're going to say. They're part of the problem. Like, but
I love it's like, it's not a problem, but it's being discussed at one of the biggest executive meetings of the year.
Yeah. But like, yeah, no, I mean, I think you guys would agree if they had a soft cap. I wonder if we're having a different conversation, or if we're having this conversation at all.
The only conversation I've seen about pay in the NBA was Skip Bayless complaining that Kobe Bryant was making too much money. And since then, I've never really seen it complained about. Maybe some stuff with Pascal Siakam, because I think correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't he have a max deal?
I believe so, but right, Daniel? He got the max.
Does. Yeah, I think that's also too, like, also in like basketball as well, it's basketball, baseball as well, right? Like, there's the luxury tax, something I always will advocate for in a soft cap era, if that ever happened to the NHL. But it was more of like, they weren't really, I think in that situation, you weren't really looking at, oh, look how much money we're giving this guy, is overpaid. It's like free agency becomes more of like an arms race. If I'm like,
what it should be,
if I'm being like quite honest, I think that you still have like that quote unquote overpayment on July 1st when it's a regular non-COVID schedule. Mm-hmm. But it's nothing like how the other leagues are, where like, if you look at baseball right now, they just got out of the lockout, and the amount of money they're throwing at guys, and not just the big markets, like the Colorado Rockies, which is supposed to be a rebuilding team, gave Chris Bryant over like $200 million.
It's insane.
I know nothing about baseball, but that threw me for a loop.
This is the one thing I know about baseball is like the NHL, it has a horrible commissioner that no one likes. And it also hates disciplining players properly. Remember the Dodgers?
And it's media. Remember Ken Rosenthal?
Yeah. Yeah.
Officiating. Director of Officiating Stefan Welcome gave a presentation to the GMs on how officials are trained, critiqued, etc., but nothing was discussed regarding the recent controversial calls. Bettman said there was, quote, no pushback whatsoever on the officiating presentation. The presentation, I'm sure that's, okay. What's really funny about this, by the way, is apparently before the presentation, the GMs were reminded that if they were to criticize officiating publicly, they'd be fined. Now, we know someone who sort of uses the term oppressive in a bit of a joking fashion at some point. But
I wonder who that is.
That's not. But
we're not going to name names.
I feel like it's not talked about enough that you can't criticize officials. Like, or you have to be so tongue in cheek about it, like Landeskog had to be. Like, I don't have a problem like finding Tortorella when he loses his mind, but like Bruce Cassidy in the playoffs last year, did that deserve a fine? Like, you have to allow criticism. I'm not saying you attack a guy, but criticism. Come on now. Did you guys see? Sorry, go ahead. I want to.
No, I was just gonna say it's even more ridiculous the fact that. Okay, fine. You don't want to have the referees available after the game to the 30 report. I guess depending what city you're in, if it's Montreal or Toronto in Canada, it's going to be like 30 reporters. Okay, I guess. But the NBA has, I think it's the last 2-minute report, right, Daniel?
Yeah.
Like, why don't we have like, hey guys, I made a mistake. Like, if you own up to your mistake and say, here's where we went wrong, and this is what we're going to do next time. Like, I don't think I'm asking for too much. I'm asking for kind of the bare minimum. Like, it's kind of ridiculous.
Alex, you're asking for too much transparency right there. That's
it. And from NHL GMs. So just to get the context. Yeah. So that 2-minute report, if I know this properly, what it is, so at the end of the game, the refs will give a report for any missed calls in the last 2 minutes of the game. Is that basically what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe so, yeah.
Very good. Very good. Probably explains in the name.
There's also like the next day sometimes too, like there's videos put out by the NBA saying like this was a missed call upon review from like the last game. They mess up. If anything, if you give a ref a chance to sort of show their point of view, you can make them look more human, I think. You know what I mean? Like, I give them a chance. I think by not allowing them to speak, I think you just kind of box in officials on their own. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm off base there, but I don't like that. You know, that was one of the negotiations in the MLB CBA that was rejected by the league was robo umpires.
Isn't everyone like, maybe you should have that? I don't know if you could do that in hockey.
No, that would be very difficult. I can imagine.
They had the what's that thing again? What's the tracker thing? It's like when it's the Olympic record, and then like you have to follow it when it's like the sprinters, just back and forth. Like you just put that back and forth on the rink.
No trade clauses. It looks that the now Central Registry will probably build up a database for contracts that include information to do with no trade clauses. This is as a result of the Evgeny Dadonov stuff. This may be hindsight, but is it not really weird to think that, and apparently it has to do with agents, and it's like less eyes on who exactly is on your trade list. But how in the world were some parts of the NHL, like inner systems, not having no trade lists? You know what I mean? I'm a victim of criticizing in hindsight a lot on this podcast, but this just feels like something that, listen, they've started to be, it looks like they're mending it quickly, but how the hell did this happen? It's still such a question to do with the Donov.
I'd be curious to get your opinions on this. I was listening, I think it was Frank Saravelli who made the argument. An insider, by the way, said he doesn't think no trade lists should be a part of Central Registry because he worries that they're going to get leaked. He said that that's unfair to the player because you're now putting them in a poor situation where if this gets leaked, let's say Evgeny Dodonov doesn't want to come to Canada. Now, I mean, we all know no one wants to come to Canada, but it's a bad look on the players. Do you agree with that idea that it'd be leaked and it's a bad look on the players? And how would you combat that? I have an idea, but I'd like to hear your idea first.
I think
so go ahead, Dan.
I think for me, it's just, I don't know. I know that it would be a bad thing if that thing got leaked, but at the same time, I might be wrong. I might be wrong here, but it's the same, I guess, repercussions if a star player nixes a trade with his no trade clause. The Edmonton Oilers Edmonton Oiler fans have never forgiven Danny Heatley for refusing a trade there.
I don't think Brian Murray to his grave forgave Danny Heatley for nixing that trade.
Right.
So, I think of it perspective again. If I was a player, I wouldn't want it out there, because imagine if you're this superstar player and you have, I don't see Anaheim fans complaining if Evgeny Dadonov didn't want to go, or I think we know that it's the Californian teams.
Yeah, it was the tax.
First off, okay, do a better job, or do a good job of keeping it internal. That's just, sorry. Okay, you've clearly seen that it doesn't work as is because the incidents happen, right? And not to mention, we've known for months Josh Manson had teams like Toronto on his list, so this stuff gets out eventually.
Mm-hmm.
But personally, I'm going to contradict myself here. Would I want it out there? No, I would probably like to. You always have to find this medium, because would I want it out there? No, but if I'm a player, the Evgeny Dadonov stuff has clearly shown me that we need to have that extra step. But sure. I would be worried, because if it comes out that I don't want to go to one of these Canadian teams, I can guarantee you them and their families are going to get so harassed.
100%.
I can imagine the radio hits now.
1,000%. But I guess from Frank's, for me at least, if Frank's worry is that the insiders will leak the information when they get it, and I guess this is a lot easier said than done, but don't tell me that they're only telling us all the information they have. I do not believe with an ounce that they're telling us all the information they have. They know much more than I think they tell us, but it's not all confirmed. I get it. There's certain media members who would do it anyways, but it's going to happen whether it's in the central registry or not. Like you said, we all knew Josh Manson didn't want to come to Toronto. He also didn't want to go to Carolina at first, and then was more open to that.
Didn't know about that. Weird.
Yeah, I think he was on the list, but would have waived to go to Carolina. So, I mean, you don't necessarily have to leak that information. I know people will do it, but you don't necessarily have to if it makes the process so much easier.
And do you know what they would respond to you with? And I hate this argument: public interest. And okay. I'm like, I don't like it.
So if it's public interest, we should know anyways, is how I would respond, right?
My response would be like, okay, public interest. How much money do you as an insider make? I want to know. And then it's like, no. If I could ask Elliot Friedman anything, I want to know how much you get. I don't know.
Maybe he's on the sunshine list. We don't know.
I don't think so.
What's the sunshine list?
That's people who make over $100,000 in Canada, but they're public companies.
Oh, okay.
So like colleges, universities,
are any of those
the government,
the Ryerson name committee thing, so we can find out?
Is Elliot a lecturer somewhere?
I don't think Elliot's on that list.
I'd like to know. But yeah, no, it's such a, just don't report. You know what I'm never going to give Frank Saravelli forgive him for? The man ruined the expansion draft.
Yeah.
Like the man killed it. And it's like, we got a report. No, dude, we were all excited to watch the expansion draft. I mean, the production still sucked, but everyone was excited and just ripped it apart.
But it would have been so much more exciting if we didn't know who each team was going, who they were going to take from each team. I can make that a money back guarantee that if we didn't know they were taking, I don't know, Jared McCann or Mark Giordano, it would have been, well, we kind of knew Mark Giordano, but it would have been so much more exciting.
You know what I wished happened?
What?
Seattle just started picking up guys that were like not reported.
Right.
I wanted that to happen.
Right.
they do take Kerfoot like the original Fish video said. Man, you gotta forget the trade deadline. Kevin Weeks doing all those videos back then. The man, I want to see his Wikipedia page and I want to see what acting credits that man has because he probably has more than we think. It's incredible. The cap is going up $1 million.
Bill Guerin is happy.
Party.
Yeah, let's go. Gonna get a nice fourth liner. Can't wait for him to get waived a month into the season. Can't wait for that to happen. But in other news, it seems to be that by the 24-25 season, that's when escrow should be paid off by the players, and which means we could have a significant cap jump by then. Now, that's kind of significant because I wanted to quickly get up Toronto and Montreal's cap-friendly pages because both teams actually have very fascinating cap situations by then. And we can start with, hold on, let me get them both open on either page. There's Montreal, there is Toronto. So if we look at the 24-25 offseason, there are two significant players on the Toronto Maple Leafs that will need new contracts, and they're both probably going to need raises, especially the first one. Austin Matthews and William Nylander. Mitch Marner is up the year after that. As is John Tavares, who I'm starting to think is not going to finish his career as a Leaf, but that's just me. But yeah.
What makes you think that?
Just like looking how much longer it is, I'm just like, I don't know about that. That screams something Dubas would move on from. Like no offense to Tavares, but I just think of what's Tavares going to be like in 4 more years. I don't know. It
depends on what person you ask in Toronto. They'll give you a completely different answer.
I don't give a crap.
He'll sign for the discount to be the voice in the locker room.
Also, the last 3 years, his signing bonuses are down below $8 million, so that could probably help. No, I'm just saying, like maybe that is the Leafs are not, they're so competitive, but there's that sort of reset that everyone sort of like the Penguins had those few down years, and by down years I mean they're still there. But you know what I mean? Yeah. It's maybe there's a bit of a reset and before that big free agency. Montreal, let me just get this up. Hoffman would be gone. Dvorak would be gone. Hoffman's contract is obviously going to be gone by then. Jeff Petry's contract would be gone by then. David Savard's deal would be gone by then. And both Carey Price and Shea Weber's contracts would be up by then. So depending on that's pretty decent for both teams. It's going to make the Leafs that much easier to sign Austin Matthews. But he's not going to Arizona. And that's just a lot of opportunity for the Habs to start getting a little nuts. People are sitting there where they want Claude Giroux. I'm like, no, don't do that.
No, do it. Don't do it.
8 years. 8 years.
Stay away from the light. No, go to Ottawa. Go to Ottawa, please. How dare you? It's weird. Beside that, also looking at the GM meetings, Sheldon Kennedy and Ken Davis were both at the GM meetings. We all know about Sheldon Kennedy's program with the teams. Now, apparently, so far, the only team that's actually fully completed in Canada are the Jets. It's weird that I don't want to give Cheveldayoff any credit, but I'm not surprised that Cheveldayoff's team is the one that's got it done. Yeah. Apparently, by the June 30 target date, all the Canadian teams should have it done. Also, apparently, the program requires some tweaks in some U.S. jurisdictions, which was like, okay. But a step forward in that side of things, something good that came out of the Kyle Beach situation. Not much did. But yeah, that's good to see.
Progress. And, to credit the NHL, I guess, expectations, progress.
Yes. You did it, guys. Great.
Yeah, when you set the bar nice and low, it's actually really easy to achieve your goals.
Now get a sexual harassment and a domestic violence policy in and all that kind of stuff. Oh no, but it's case by case.
Yeah, it's very like I'll give the teams credit, I guess, for wanting to do it. But like you guys said, follow through. Where the actions. Okay, so if it actually happens, are you going to handle this properly? I think that's what, like, it's great. So many companies have it and then don't have these rules and then don't follow through with them when, you know, it does happen in their workplace. So I guess for me, like, sorry if I'm not very impressed, but like, come on. This should have been done years ago.
I think we can be happy for what Sheldon Kennedy is getting done, I think.
100%.
And I think Kim Davis was also, I think she's named to some part of the GTAHL report too. So there's some steps being made there. No, it is a good point you make a good point though of not giving them too much credit for something that should have already been in place. Like I want to say there's some, I can't remember exactly what it is. I think it's something to do with inclusiveness with sexuality and how out of date or like there are certain representatives or like a program within the league it doesn't exist. Sarah Sivian was tweeting about it a couple of weeks ago. I cannot remember the details of it. It just struck me, but there's still a lot of sort of programs and the league are being far from perfect here. By the way, little snippet, little tease. There is a very good article before we finish all the GM stuff in the Athletic from Arpin Basu, a really good sit-down interview with Habs GM Kent Hughes. And they talk about a lot, including diversity hires within hockey ops for the Habs, and also some very, very good stuff to do with Logan Mailloux. So go read that article. 10 out of 10 would highly recommend it, by the way. But finishing off talking about the GM meetings, beside the fact that Bettman did confirm that the draft is happening in Montreal, and he was like, "Oh, we're gonna have fans in the stands." Dirtbag. Hate him. The potential of the World Cup of Hockey happening in February 2014, so 2024. Bettman sort of shut down everyone asking too many questions because it was too early in the process. Fair enough. One thing that was confirmed, it will only include teams of countries. So there won't be Team North America. There won't be Team Europe, which I remember people complaining about at the time. And nowadays they're like, boo, Team North America was so great. And I'm like, okay.
I actually like Team Europe. They had cool jerseys.
They did have great jersey. They just were boringly coached. Not well coached. Well, that was what's his face, wasn't it? Kruger?
Yeah,
Kruger. And then John Tortorella was the US team. Yeah, I just would like to point out he added Justin Abdelkader on the team.
I wish
over
I was
Phil
doing
Kessel
something right now. Yeah. I just wish Phil would have shut up.
I wish they didn't say the country part initially, because I had a fantastic joke before they said that. When I think
say the joke.
I think like Eric Engels just said there won't be any Team North America team, but they didn't confirm the country part at that point of the meeting yet.
Yeah,
okay.
And I said that they did not exclude an over 35 team.
Okay.
That could compete with
that's
you.
A good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. We can call Patrick Marleau.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then call Mike Babcock.
Ice the San Jose Sharks.
Yeah.
Those old bastards.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess we can quickly just talk about just some little snippets here. So the GTAHL for those of you who don't really know about it, I guess you can kind of say in the pecking order of Canadian junior hockey, the big feeder league is obviously the CHL, which is divided between the Q, the W, and the OHL. And then I want to say below that, honestly, probably one of the oldest leagues in hockey, and probably if the CHL is that final breeding ground, the biggest sort of running ground of hockey talent is the GTAHL. Of course, like the Toronto Marlboros are the team that's owned by Sam Gagner and John Tavares. The team that guys like Tavares played for, Connor McDavid. It's one of the most important leagues in the world. And they basically launched this giant investigation into it to do with inclusivity. Because quite frankly, I think junior hockey is going through a much needed transformation right now. remember a couple of years ago, the stuff with hazing in the CHL and that there's a ton of it. And basically what this report found is, I'll just read you the first little bit of it here. An independent committee formed by the GTAHL has found that racism and discrimination do exist in the GTAHL, and that there is a need to put greater effort into promoting a culture of acceptance and inclusivity. Now, I want to say that the GTAHL actually have this like board of governor type things. And I think on it, it's all white men except for like one white woman, for example. This isn't like the Jenner and Block report. You're going to hear specific stories and all that. I think it's a much more tame version of saying we've got issues in this league, and we got to fix them. I don't know if you guys agree with me there, but when I saw this report, and I think credit to Alex, I think you're the one who first sent it to us. I was expecting more because we all know people who play in the GTHL. We've heard stuff where it's like, oh my goodness. This report was a very polite way of saying we've got a lot of issues and we need to fix it. Also, this wasn't being talked about a lot today. I noticed.
Is that a surprise?
Yeah. I'd like to say, by the way, the numbers are pretty stark when Rick Westhead posted the survey results.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just name some of them. So
please do.
For the data, they interviewed 2,062 players, parents, alumni, coaches, and other stakeholders with this. And 61% said that there had been incidents of being called racially insulting names. What's another one? Directed towards coaches or towards teammates, 79%. What was it? Assumed an athlete's English was poor, 83%. So there's another one's like people were afraid to act because of the athlete, and it was 83%. So like these are pretty high numbers from the survey.
It was bad, man. It was, again, it wasn't ugly to read, and fair warning, it's like 120 pages or something. But it just shows there's just a level of it gets more and more difficult to say, oh no, hockey's a fun sport. And it's like, oh, hockey culture's not that. Yeah, it is. It's pretty bad.
It's another example. I remember when I had that interview for an assignment with Taylor Griffin. He's the editor-in-chief right now of the Eye Opener. And it's the same conversation that we're having again now. We're like, like for people, like, I guess for the background, like Tyler was like a pretty good junior player. He had NCAA offers before he decided to come to Ryerson for journalism, and like he gave up hockey. But he even mentioned too, like what he wants to see in here, and the biggest change he wants to see is it always starts at the junior level. He talked about the Hockey Diversity Alliance, but he's like, at that point, that's just further along. Like you have to get to the source of things.
Mm-hmm. I've heard that Tyler fell out of love with hockey from people before. So that makes sense. I want to see part of this committee too. I want to say the Subans were involved, not just PK, but his dad too, who I think is there's stories where I think Steven Stamkos, his father, had to like defend PK once when they were kids because PK was getting attacked for his race. Like not physically, I think it was like a verbal thing on him. So you can obviously tell that's a family. Look what happened with Jordan earlier this year in the ECHL, I think he was playing with. It's obviously a case very clear and dear to their heart. I wanted to mention that because I know before we've talked about why is PK Subban like not involved with the HDA, but clearly the family is still involved at a very grassroots level. And when everything sort of fell out with the George Floyd stuff and like the stuff within sports, we always talked about the grassroots level of it. So it's good to see that at least we'll see how they follow through with it, but that the GTHO has at least taken that first step.
There's another partnership that the GTHL also just announced recently. It's with Hockey Equality. So that's the charity run by Anthony Stewart.
That's cool. I like that.
There's a problem, right? Like it's quite evident.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like, I mean this in a respectful way. I don't think we needed the report to know that, right? I think the report confirmed it. I think we kind of all knew it. And I think they stated it at the beginning with, hockey participation numbers are declining. That's not good for the sport. And especially for a province and an area that fact produces a crap ton of hockey players, right? The GTA produces a crap ton of hockey players. And I think it is the whole point of the report is to prove that this is one of the reasons that people aren't interested in playing hockey. It's not the only reason. It's one of them. And I'm sure it's a significant one. Like something needs to be done. I'm kind of tired of hearing it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, it is what it is. We can clearly do something about it. And like, if we're not going to do something about it, we're clearly choosing to be ignorant on the situation,
mm-hmm.
while lots of people pour lots of money into other sports. Hockey's going to be left behind.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be because we didn't do something years ago.
Parents will sacrifice a lot for their children, right? And we know hockey's not a financial, like it's not cheap to play. But yeah, I think it would be that much more difficult for a parent if their kids weren't welcome there. And listen, I've talked about this before. I've been to a lot of like minor hockey games, and especially when I was younger. And the things I heard at those games, I can't repeat on this podcast. And there were pretty important members of my family who were part of that, and I heard things like tossed at them, which I can't repeat here. It was bullcrap. And I can't say the name, but for example, the parents of one of those kids, their kid is now a member of an NHL team. For example, he played in the World Junior team too. And I hate to be like this, but they were white too. I mean, not to mention, we talked about like there's like no diversity on most NHL teams. Like, I think we had an exercise where we tried to guess like how many visible minorities were in the league, and I don't think we even got past 10. So, I mean, the HDA right now, before Evander Kane left, might have had a majority of active colored players on it. It's just, sorry if you can hear the dog. He's losing it. It's just, you just hope it gets better, because it's such a good sport. It's so much fun, and the good stories you hear about hockey are so good, but it continues to be overshadowed.
I think you guys could all agree. The last, I don't know, 24 months, let's call it, pretty much just pre-pandemic, kind of around that time, has not been great for the sport. I think it's been mentally draining to read thing after thing after thing that has happened. And I mean, for me at least, Kyle Beach was very much a tipping point. Like it's exhausting.
Yeah.
Because I think the three of us look, at least the three of us, obviously there's more than just the three of us, at a different way than maybe the people running the best hockey league in the world. We look at things clearly quite differently than them. So it's frustrating when things happen and aren't dealt with properly. And it feels in a way, not that we're left with the brunt, but like we're left having to talk about it and them not doing anything about it when they should be, when everyone else is saying you should do this, this, and this. And it's not like we're throwing completely unreasonable things their way either, by the way. And they do none of it. It's like we have to twist their arm to bring Sheldon Kennedy in. We have to twist their arm to open up an anonymous hotline. We have to twist their arm to do anything. It's exhausting. It very much is. And it's hard to keep watching and watching and watching and watching as they clearly don't care about us. Like they don't even care about Canada, and so that's one thing, but this is a completely different thing. This is even harder to watch than watching the commissioner of the NHL clearly not care about the country that makes him the most money.
He doesn't care about like any level of it. Again, the biggest criticism of Gary Bettman is, and I think of his entire career, was the post Kyle Beach press conference he did with Bill Daly on Zoom, and the lack of emotional intelligence, term I've used again on the podcast here. And I sort of learned that term from people criticizing Bettman. And even if it starts at the grassroots level, you know who can help that grassroots level? The guy at the very tippity top. And listen, like aside from Jeremy Jacobs, of course, Gary Bettman's the very top of the totem pole. So, yeah, I guess you can throw Kim Davis because she's a big part of it, Gary. But you need to. And she's doing work, but keep going. Okay. We'll finish off another tough turn. I'm sorry for anyone listening, but Toronto and Montreal, our favorite teams. We can start with Montreal because I know there are Leafs fans listening who want to talk about the Taylor Hall thing, but we're going to make them wait because it's a tease. The Habs had a game against Florida that was very messy. Best wishes to Jake Evans. Apparently, he's day-to-day after the incident. Mackenzie Weegar, you're a loser. But the biggest highlight I want to talk about, did you guys see what was being posted on Habs Twitter?
Yeah. So
for those of you who didn't see it, the Montreal admin, the social media admin, this person is great, put two different videos of the Habs at the beach. And one of them, they're playing in the water, right? And I have never seen a more thirsty Twitter thread in my life. I could not believe what I was seeing. And the admin knew what they were doing, but people were like, they're having fun again. Like they're kids at the beach. I'm sure after the game they weren't doing well, so no one got any gummy bears, no one got any ice cream or anything. But man, it was just the things people were saying about Josh Anderson shirtless. I was like, oh no, we need to calm down, people. But yeah, no, the Habs lost, and they still have Carolina and Tampa on this road trip. So they've lost 2 games so far. They got to lose 2 more.
That sounds like loads of fun.
It was
those 2 games just going to be loads of fun.
It was 4-1 Florida, and then Montreal eventually tied it up. It was 4-1 near the end of the second, and I'm like, I can stop watching this and I can watch the Colorado Calgary game. And then by 9:00, it was 4-4, and I'm like, okay, never mind. Guess I'm not. And then nothing happened in the third period, so it was a waste of time. But Jordan Harris should be playing some time on this road trip, apparently, which is pretty sick to see. He had his press conference today. He seems like a very down-to-earth dude.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys see Cole Caulfield and Chantal Mackenbay had this conversation that Chantal was talking about?
Yes.
How the old Habs regime would say to Cole, just go out and spew out hockey cliches and don't show your personality.
Oh.
And then Chantal takes over and says, no, go be you. It's just, Bergevin was so bad. If the TikTok thinks I love Sidney Crosby, I can't imagine what they say about me and Bergevin, but yeah.
I think most people are quite on board with.
They probably agree with you, yeah, Adam.
Mark Bergevin did not do the Habs a whole lot of favors. I still see them. I still see the Bergevin lovers kind of sprinkled around there. It's usually around one person's profile, but
there's a certain Twitter person that everyone.
I feel like we all know.
There's still the Bergevin loyalists out there monitoring our social media.
I mean, look at all these players. Like, sure, but look at all the other things that he.
Oh yeah, Cole's
screwed.
Great. Yeah, look at what happened with the coach that had him. Look what he did in the first half of the year.
Like, did he not? Did Cole Caulfield essentially not fall to 15?
He did. Yeah, he did.
Okay.
He should have gone top 10.
Okay.
Remember when Flyers fans thought they had him?
Yeah.
Like, oh no.
They got him for his leadership, Cam York.
Yeah. I think Philly needs a lot more than leadership right now.
By the way, why did Jordan Harris pick 54? Because that's the first time I've seen a player, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's the first time I've seen a player wear that since Bobby Ryan in his rookie year.
I couldn't tell you. It's just, but he got to choose it because they used to be assigned numbers by Bergevin because Dinosaur. I have no idea why, but I remember the last Hab to wear 54. I saw it and I'm like, that's a defenseman's number. It's like when it's better than goalies wearing 50s. Those are just weird. And just a quick thing on the Habs. Joshua Waugh has signed an ELC. The guy is second in Q scoring. I think he's at like 92 points. Apparently he was like 2 months away from being a 2022 pick. And the Montreal got him in the 6th. Imagine this was his draft year.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. And hopefully he gets a look at the World Juniors in the summer because he didn't make the team.
Yeah.
I was going to predict that. I'm like, I think he should make it.
Okay, I want to play a little game here because I found the stat. There have been 3 players that have worn number 54 for the Montreal Canadiens.
Are they like recent or like?
They're actually all within like the 21st century, actually.
Oh,
Charles Hudon.
That is one.
David Desharnais?
No.
Or was he 50?
Colby Armstrong?
No.
Mike Johnson?
No.
Wait, so how many are there overall?
There's 3, so you have 2 more.
So Charles Hudon.
Yeah.
Recently, who the heck?
World Junior legend by the
way. So the 2 players that are left were with the Habs between 2000 and 2010. Charles Hudon was the only recent one.
Okay, I'm not gonna up here. Maybe one of the Kostitsins. I don't know.
Jan Bullis.
No, do you want me to just tell you? Patrick Traverse. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It might be.
I wouldn't have gotten that.
Patrick Traverse. We'll go with. And Mikhail Grabowski.
Oh my God.
In 2008.
Oh yeah.
He wore 54.
Oh wow. What number was on the Leafs? It was 54 on the Leafs, right? Yeah.
I believe
58.
So. I'll double check real quick, but there's been those guys who have played.
I will always remember the contract Brian Burke gave him in Toronto.
He was actually 84 with the Leafs.
84. Okay. I was not even close.
Yeah, it was close enough.
Well, there's an 8 in there. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So Saturday the Leafs lose to Montreal. Jake Allen, as we said on the show. Then they go out and beat Boston 6-4. It was 6-1. And my friend was like, I can't wait to see Boston win this game. Like, they're not going to. And I saw it was 6-4 with 2 minutes left. I'm like, maybe.
You have no idea what I was thinking. The words I cannot say.
So, an eventful game, which it's really funny now that there was a week where like what's happening in the Atlantic, and a week later, Boston are back in the wild card. Florida are still in first, and Tampa and Toronto are still fighting for second and third. So nothing changed.
Any night where Toronto, Tampa, and Boston all play, the next day the Atlantic could look completely different.
And I think they still have a ton of matchups to go to.
Yeah,
it's hilarious.
They still play Florida like 2 or 3 more times.
It's insane.
I'd have to double check with the other teams because for whatever reason,
Tampa's in there and another Boston. Washington
probably
in there too. Yeah, there is. Yeah, I should know that.
You should know that. Yeah, they play Tampa 1, 2 more times, Florida 2 more times, and Boston. They play Boston last game of the season. Actually, I am there. That's going to be a good game.
Is there? Okay, so they could. Yeah, so it's still tight. Which of you put the McAvoy Lindholm?
Me.
So what's it about? Have they been yucky?
They've been yucky. I am so mad that they got Hampus Lindholm. I've never been more mad at the Boston Bruins. Genuinely, I've never been more mad. It's such a good pairing.
I saw some tweets about it, and I was like, oh, goodness gracious, that's not nice.
Their first game against Tampa, that's like, it might be the first best game pairing ever. Like, they were so good. Oh,
it's like, hey, so we had Krug and Chara and they're gone now. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Hampus Lindholm has arrived. Oh, so mad, but whatever. Yeah, I put that note down because that pairing is going to be a pain to play against. A pain.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's also another new arrival, isn't there? Or an old revival come back to life? Because I believe Michael Hutchinson was called up, was he not?
Was he?
Yeah.
So Petr Mrazek is hurt again. Unfortunately, what an unlucky season for this poor guy. What's up with Campbell? I thought he should have been back by now.
He's upgraded to day-to-day from the rib injury now. So
I am more than okay with them taking their time with Campbell. I've had about enough of injured goalies playing.
I mean, so it's going to be Shalgren and Hutchinson?
Sure. You know what? I'm on the Shalgren train. I had this discussion like 2 weeks ago with someone after he played like 3 games. I'm like, I don't know if I'm convinced yet. Just let it happen. Let it happen until Jack Campbell comes back.
When can we start calling Shalgren the Monster 2.0?
Like Jonas Gustafsson.
Daniel,
Yes, 'cause
he's
right
been around
now-
for a sneeze.
Jonas,
he's
yeah,
wearing-
but so had Jonas Gustafsson, I think. But let's see. I'm
Stop it.
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Because he's
with
also
that.
wearing number
Stop
50,
it.
so I'm like, okay, that works.
I'm good with you calling him that.
It's ugly.
Listen, it's not an ideal situation, but I said like 2 episodes ago, they've had below average goaltending in every month except one, and they're still that high up, which makes no sense to me.
The Atlantic just, when it gets bad, it gets bad.
Oh,
I think New Jersey are officially out, or so they're close to it. Montreal.
To all the
obviously.
Leafs critics out there, they are outscoring their problems.
Oh, 100%.
yeah, that's never
course.
not
Yes.
been their thing. But yeah, that game was a mess. I
So,
was gonna say something else, but I couldn't.
so what happened? Because I was watching a mess in Florida. What was the mess in Toronto, or was it in Boston?
Where have you heard this before? The refs didn't just do their job.
Okay, I saw the Taylor Hall thing.
Hmm?
How in the world was that not a suspension? Like Peros, man.
I don't know. I'm that. You know what? That was like the last thing on my mind. I think I texted it last night. I saw a man get tripped. I saw Riley trip someone on my television right over there. Nothing.
So they lost control of the game.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like they tried to regain it when like they gave Brad Marchand a 10-minute game misconduct for talking to the ref, which like if anyone's crying about that, have you looked at the NHL ever?
He's
Like-
definitely on the list, though. He's
Brad Marchand? Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100% on the list. That guy's talked way too much smack publicly. They do not like it. Not that I agree with the league's way they would handle that. It's just, what am I supposed to do about it?
Mhm.
That was a messy game. I don't know. I thought it was a suspension, but I don't know if I'm allowed to say that because Twitter has been an absolute nightmare today.
It wasn't. Let's get people something very straight. It wasn't Bertuzzi
No.
more.
There was like 10 people who said that.
Like I'm like that was a criminal case.
Yeah.
That was a malicious like that was the most blindside thing ever. Apparently, Hall was also taken down before the play, which actually kind of makes it worse.
He got pushed
because-
into the boards. Yeah.
No.
which is also makes it worse for Hall because that's red mist, which Kadri would get 20 games for it. But like that is not Steve Moore. I think it was.
Steve
It's
Moore,
not
no.
Steve Moore, Bertuzzi.
No.
Like, shut
No,
up!
stop.
It is not
Stop.
that. I'm not.
Calm down.
You should have got suspended, but it was not.
No, it's not
like
that.
the most malicious thing in NHL history. Like that
Yeah.
was. Shut up.
Yeah. I feel like every time someone gets suspended or doesn't get suspended, it always comes from a retaliatory hit or something. Again, like I think we should reiterate this. Was Lyubushkin's hit a penalty or a little bit more? Probably. Yeah, definitely. They missed that. But again, that doesn't give Taylor Hall now the right to retaliate. I think, Adam, you used the
You still
example.
punched him.
Like you still did it. So you can't be doing that.
I didn't mean to shoot a man, but I shot him. So take
Okay. Do you want to hear this extremely like weird comparison?
Sure.
Okay, Chris Rock made that joke, right? We're not going to talk about it. I'm going to make the analogy. Chris Rock made that joke. Was it a little out of hand? Probably. But like that doesn't mean Will Smith could have gone up there and slapped him, right? Like it's just come on, guys. I know like I had to bring that up at some point. I felt it was necessary. But that's all I'll say. Like you can't do that, right? The first thing was bad, probably. That doesn't mean you can do the second bad thing.
Should you be making jokes about hair, even though G.I. Jane joke? But yeah, what makes it worse is a few seconds before Will Smith was laughing, but clearly he saw his wife upset. He realized, oh no, I got to make this up. Should you slap people? No. Do I kind of respect Will Smith for standing up for his wife? Of course I do. But as Alex says, two things can be right, or in this case, both people can be in the wrong.
Exactly.
Is it true Will Smith's wife? I'm sorry, I don't know her name. I'm not
Jada Pinkett
Smith. Yes.
Is it true that she voices the hippo in Madagascar?
Yes.
Oh,
so I saw people make jokes that Madagascar 4 is never going to happen.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. I really love. I have seen the first Madagascar so much. That's the only thing I know Chris Rock for is that zebra.
Well, I can tell you this. I hope you guys get this joke. I told it to someone, they didn't get it, but I don't think Will Smith will be in any Adam Sandler movies.
Oh yeah, I saw that because of the tweet of Adam Sandler's like, "Oh, you're doing great, buddy."
Listen, I tweeted that. I said that before he tweeted that. Adam, do you get the joke?
No.
Do you want me to explain it to you?
Please.
Okay, so Chris Rock, like Adam Sandler, he loves his friends. Like he'll put his friends in everything.
Good brother, Adam. Good.
I love him. And Chris Rock is friends with Adam Sandler. I don't know if you've seen Grown Ups, the movie 1 and 2. Is there a third one, Daniel? I don't even know.
For which one?
Grown Ups.
Let me check.
I don't think so, but
okay,
whatever.
Anyway, yeah.
They're in it. It's like him, Kevin James, David Spade, whatever. So Adam Sandler will not be working with Will Smith. Okay, that joke didn't land. I'm sorry, guys.
That's fine. I do it all the time.
Let's move on.
Okay, there are only 2 grown-ups.
Okay, good. That's fine.
I just like to say, by the way, this movie made $271 million.
Wow.
Wait. 2 grown-ups like any parenting, unless you're Will Smith, who's like, oh, there you go.
Hey.
Something else him and Scottie Pippen have in common, isn't it?
Well, fine. I guess we are going to talk about it. I didn't think we were going to do that, but okay.
I don't watch the Oscars because who cares?
I didn't watch the Oscars either, but like people were people who I'm like were probably not going to text me about the Oscars texted me about the Oscars.
I was shocked. I was just shocked when I was watching it.
I thought it was like normally I'm a pretty gullible person, but even I was like, I kind of hope this is fake. But then you know, when you start seeing Denzel's condoling him, like, okay, what is this?
Oh, I was just I didn't know about that. I was shocked that Licorice Pizza did not win Best Picture.
I don't even know if you're messing with me or is that a real movie?
No, it's a real movie.
I've never heard of any of the movies that get put up for Best Picture.
I thought it was fake when he went up and slapped him. I thought it was fake until he sat down and yelled at him.
When I couldn't hear the audio anymore, I thought my TV was broken. I thought, that's when I'm like, okay, this is real.
There's acting, but I saw it in his eyes.
That's more performance than Will Smith has put into any of his movies.
There's one thing I'd like to say, by the way. Okay, like I'm not going to mention any of the other really bad tweets, but the one tweet made me laugh where it's like confirming it was fake. There were clearly 2 actors involved in the situation.
That's fair. There were some rough tweets in there.
They're pretty rough.
Okay. Let's go back to the Leafs.
Okay.
I feel like this isn't a conversation. I feel like this isn't a conversation Pizza, guys. For us.
Good movie. It makes you nostalgic for the 70s again.
George Peros is bad at his job.
You know, despite all of that,
Will Smith is a bad actor. I'm done.
I loved him in Men in Black. So.
I thought he was a good actor. But listen, you know, we had that.
His wife was mad when he cheated on her with Margot Robbie. No. I'm sorry. I'm actually done. I'm done.
like Steve Dangle. What was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. No, I remember. So we had the controversy, you know, how everyone was like, oh, this is a playoff game. No, this is a playoff game. No, that was a playoff game. Okay. I don't want to hear it. That was a playoff game. Physically, the way they played physically, like that's Boston is going to show up in the playoffs. That's maybe not the goaltending, but physically that's the Boston that's going to show up in the playoffs.
Who was in net for Boston?
Swayman and then Allmark.
That's fair enough.
And you know what? I thought the Leafs kept up quite well, considering like when they get pushed around, they don't really show up, or they kind of hide under a rock. But they didn't do that last night, which is the most frustrating thing in the world, because like I'll preface it with this. John Tavares was melding off to Brad Marchand. Let me repeat that. John Tavares was melding off to Brad Marchand. What?
John Tavares has I didn't know he had a confrontational bone in his body.
It is what it is, guys. That's his that's part of his game, and I just made sure it didn't bother me.
I wish he was mic'd up. I really do. I need to know what he said. Because
I've never heard him scream before. That's the thing. Like, his voice is so low.
It just
front
foot. Yeah.
Who has a
right.
deeper voice, him or Kawhi?
Oh, it's Kawhi. Kawhi for sure.
Scottie Pippen.
I felt that I needed the contract because I had to provide for my family. Yeah.
But
there's Morgan sorry.
That team, can it just show up every night? Like, you know how Sheldon Keefe is like, I take that game 82 more times.
Yes.
Please.
I'll take it 78 times and don't play the other 4 against Montreal well.
Sure. Yeah. Like, I'll take that. Just please. Just do, like, even against Florida, where maybe it wasn't the most physical game per se, but like, can you please play like how on earth, what other team continuously doesn't show up against the worst teams in the league?
That's a good question. The Rangers have had a few stinkers and a lot of comebacks. Sorry, Mike, not really. But probably like that. It's interesting because if you look at the Leafs down the stretch, the amount of Atlantic games they have, that a couple times a week they may have playoff atmosphere type games. And I think that's going to tell you a lot about the team going forward. Is how they compete in these next few weeks. Because we're winding down on the season, people. We're less than a month from the playoffs. It will tell you a lot.
Yeah, they have 8 games against the Atlantic.
That's tough. And you know what? If they get hot enough, they could pass Florida. It's difficult to make up. I know it's unlikely, but with all those divisional games, the patented 4.9, as they call it, the games against Florida are huge. It's not out the depths of. I mean, you could still probably end up playing Boston in the first round, but it doesn't matter.
I don't know. It'd probably be Washington. Which would be a quite interesting series. Now it would be reversed, right? In 2017, Washington was the number 1 seed in the Metro, and Toronto was the second wild card.
That's when I told everybody Kapanen's going to become a 30-30 player. I remember that.
Daniel, I'm sorry. I hate to tell you, you might have been wrong.
I don't know if he's played the game since, by the way, but Roman Josi had 20 points in 13 games in March. Obviously, I've been very much on Cale Makar this year, but Roman Josi's on pace for like 100 points this year. The second best defenseman in Nashville Predators history, guys.
I laughed when I saw it on the doc.
Weren't you the one who put it on?
No, because I think it autocorrected to Roman Jose.
Oh, wow. I did not even notice
I didn't realize because I copied my notes into a Word doc to put my little things and it just say Roman Jose.
No, I did.
Pretty good, though.
Yeah.
He's no Shea Weber, but,
It may be like, I think Roman Josi is a player, and maybe it's because my fault too. Like, I disrespected the Predators this year because I didn't realize they have 38 wins.
You know what helps is Duchesne's good again.
Yeah.
Game. I don't think anyone expected this to be honest.
I'm going to check where I had them in the standings.
Like I think maybe I had them making the playoffs, but it would have been a wild card spot. And like, it's not like I thought, oh, wow, the Nashville Predators are going to be a playoff team. It was probably more like they might, they got the pieces there. It's just they have to come alive, and they haven't over the last few years. So it's nice to see that a lot of them are in form.
A lot of enthusiasm is back, I think, with the team. I think that's why they kept Philip Forsberg. I think that if they did trade him at this point, it would disrupt a lot of things. And honestly, I'm giving them more respect now. Like they are fairly stable with what they have. Like we've mentioned the bad contracts before, but Matt Duchene has rediscovered his game. Ryan Johansson is just whatever. They're still paying Kyle Turris a lot of money, but
Janelle's been a good season too.
Yeah, defensively, they could sustain that. Goaltending, UC Saros has been great, and they have an excellent guy developing in the KHL for them.
Oh yeah, Skarov, man, trade him. I don't know what the season's been since the World Juniors, but trade him. I'm telling you, trade him now. I had Nashville second last in the Central Division this year, by the way. I don't want to tell you what I had for the Central, but it's not.
Is it anywhere close?
Well, I had Colorado 1.
Yeah, I think everyone.
I had Winnipeg 2. I had Chicago 3. Minnesota 4, St. Louis 5, Dallas, Nashville, and Arizona. Yeah.
Wait, sorry. Where'd you have Vancouver? Or
I had Vancouver 3rd in the Pacific.
Oh, okay. So I thought you had. Okay.
I had Vegas, LA. I'm right about LA. I'm telling you, I was so right about them. I had Anaheim last in that division. Seattle was like, hey there. Oh boy.
Recruit me in that. But I mean, Winnipeg, I think.
Man.
That turned sour real quick.
Hey, there's a lot of questions about the coaching there. A lot of questions about the coach in there.
Well, even with that, it's not maybe more than just the coaching. Paul Maurice is not there anymore.
Yeah, he made himself look good on the exit, but he kind of boned him. He kind of boned him. Not gonna lie.
I mean, we can't all be post Claude Julien, Dominic Ducharme. You know what I mean?
Somehow Dave Lowry has been worse than Dom Ducharme in the regular season was last year. At least Dom Ducharme, I don't know because they didn't win 2 straight games until the playoffs happened. But,
by the way,
what?
Uncle of Kyle.
What?
Uncle of Kyle.
No. Isn't the Adam Lowry's dad? Isn't right?
Yeah,
and Uncle of Kyle Lowry.
Uncle of Kyle Lowry
from Philadelphia.
Yes.
What?
Kyle Lowry.
I tried to make a joke.
Oh, yeah.
Adam Lowry, Kyle Lowry, Dave Lowry.
I forgot he wasn't a Raptor anymore. I kind of forgot about.
I love his conflict resolution lately, though. That was great.
What?
So, Jimmy Butler and Udonis Haslem, we're getting into a shouting match with the head coach Eric Spoelstra, and then while that's happening, you just see Kyle Lowry walk away from the scrum on the bench.
You know what he's thinking? Should have
stayed.
Yeah.
Should have stayed. Maybe Kawhi should have stayed and he wouldn't have been embarrassed, but ridiculous. I mean, whatever.
Kawhi. Okay, maybe we do. But.
Congrats on the new shoe, by the way. He just came out with the new shoe.
Okay.
He needs more shirts. My boardman's getting paid shirt is getting a little old. Okay, I need some new shirts, Kawhi.
Kawhi and died. Okay, that's everything. Oh, we'll see you on Sunday. Yeah. Thanks for listening. Check out the show wherever. Check out our own stuff. It's all in the description below. Check out the TikTok to see me simping for Sidney Crosby. That'll be a shirt idea one day, maybe, if we ever get to that point. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.